At the time, I was headed towards becoming a chip engineer. I got really excited about sort of getting involved in something new. It seemed important to get into solar. There was an overarching feeling at the time that we were running out of oil. We now know that there's tons of oil. In fact, there's so much oil and natural gas that if we burn it all, we'll fry the planet. So that's why I created SunPower.
I'm a teacher, which means that I'm a mandated reporter. And so I have a legal duty to speak up if I believe an individual child is suffering from neglect or suffering from abuse. There's basically no way to look at the history of American climate inaction without calling it neglect. I could find almost no examples where school boards had even used the words climate change. We developed schools for climate action with the idea that the science tells us that this is a serious problem, but our institutions are not acting like it's a serious problem.
I'd always been concerned about environmental issues from a young age, but I was an actor in New York at the time. And so for me, it really became a matter of wanting to figure out how to take the things that I love to do, like performing and acting and creating things, sort of creative endeavors, if you will, and put them in service of something that felt like the most important thing I could be spending my time on, which was making sure that, helping to make sure there's a livable planet. But, that film was long on explaining the problem, which was important. It was important to kind of scare us into being awake about it.
A few years ago, I decided that I'm going to dedicate my life and all of my music to the sole purpose of creating environmental consciousness and creating awareness on sustainability. I've always believed that music is a very, very powerful language, not just for communicating a message, but for retaining that message deep in the consciousness of a listener. The United Nations in 2015 had come out with the Sustainable Development Goals. So I believe that this would be a really good framework for me to create music on for children, because we need to start the conversation on sustainability at a very young age. We are bringing in hip hop music and more popular forms of music so that there'll be a wider spread of the songs and their messages.
You can't make a difference unless you try, that's for sure.